Last weekend, we got to see a glimpse of what we have in store for us for the June 6th release of Diablo IV. And while the early access to the open beta feels a little bit like the assistant to the assistant manager as far as titles are concerned, I think it was able to show us where the title is excelling and also where it may still need a little bit of work. Diablo IV is one of the most polarizing titles in the ARPG scene, to the point that ARPG purists are having a hard time even calling it that due to the inclusion of MMO elements and the wrongly perceived lack of depth seen in a level 25 capped beta. In today's video, I want to talk about what we saw in the early access, what we will see in the next weekend's open beta, the good, the bad, and at the end of the day, what the real problems are regarding its release in June. As a bit of a background, I did play all day, basically every day of the last weekend, and I was able to get every single class to max level, as well as kind of play them and theory craft them a bit. Of course, all of this was done over on my Twitch channel, so if you'd like to come check out this next weekend, make sure you follow. Link will be down in the description below. So last Friday, we started the Double Down early access off with a bit of a rocky start. We had the usual shaky servers, disconnects, lag, and rubber banding that we have kind of come to expect with popular new releases. All of this was solved for the most part by the end of the day, and let's also keep in mind this is an open beta early access, so a lot of what's going on is testing the servers. It's not necessarily a demo for you to check out the game. With all of that said though, let's kind of talk about the class balance and what I saw in the order that I played each class. The first of which being the rogue class. During the early access, the rogue's class system seems to be the most developed, with 2/3 of the final class mechanics being available to try out, that being inner sight and combo points. Personally, I didn't feel like either of the rogue's class mechanics affected how strong the character was, but they changed the way that you would do your rotation and play the character. Combo points having you build them up and then spend them, whereas inner sight gave you a different focus on what you were targeting, and you'd switch things up and try to fit in these burst windows that I found pretty fun. I opted to play a more ranged build as melee just felt like I was way too squishy and I couldn't do a lot of kiting or stutter stepping, which I found greatly improved my character's survivability. Something I would later find out would greatly affect the next class that I played, the Barbarian. Being my main class from Diablo 3, I was really excited to jump in and play the Barbarian. It felt incredibly good to unlock Whirlwind early on in the game, unlocking that Barbarian slot machine gameplay of spinning to win. Unfortunately, on the Barbarian, I felt the most pain while leveling up, whether it was due to a lack of melee survivability or what I think was actually just poor scaling. I'd oftentimes be left feeling weaker as I leveled up, which in a world that scales up with you as you level can feel very, very bad. Another reason for this could just be that we weren't simply able to unlock the class mechanic. We would receive the quest for it at level 15, but it did require us to travel to another zone that was outside of the Fractured Peaks. On the last day of the beta, I would spend most of my time leveling up the Sorcerer, and I found it to be the most fluid, I guess, of all three of the classes available during the early access. The class mechanic seemed like a cool, unique system, although I did just throw one ability in there and never touched it again while leveling. All of the Sorcerer's abilities felt pretty well tuned, except for maybe Hydra's, which could possibly use a little bit of fine-tuning. For the most part, everything felt pretty good on the Sorcerer. I think overall though, out of the three classes I played, they all kind of felt pretty unique, and their class mechanics made them fun and enjoyable to play as well. I look forward to seeing what Blizzard comes up with as far as the class quest lines and their own respective class dungeons, as well as sets and all of that stuff that we haven't really had revealed to us at all yet. Next up, I wanted to address some of the issues that we're seeing on Reddit and the official forums. First off, let's talk about dungeon design. The first thing you'll notice is that they are pretty darn repetitive. Similar layouts, similar goals, similar monsters, similar bosses. It's all pretty much the same. That said though, this is no different than really any other ARPG out there. Now, if you followed the main story quest, you're going to see great dungeons with great interactions, bosses, storylines, but the random world dungeons out in the world are just kind of just there. They're not supposed to be this crazy experience. And it's the first 25 levels too, and the first zone, which is only 20% of the actual gameplay map. Personally, I found them fun and rewarding to explore, and is even better with a group of friends. Now, compare that to my experiences in Diablo 3, where literally just doing a Greater Rift was the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, it's fine. The last thing I wanted to talk about was kind of what, in my opinion, is the real problem with Diablo 4. One thing you'll hear just parroted across the entire internet right now is that the game lacks depth or it feels hollow. And sure, the itemization is not very exciting, and the skill tree itself feels like it's lacking. I don't know how to say it, but it feels almost like it's lacking 25 levels. And that's because it is. I love ARPGs, but if you only do the first half of the leveling through the storyline and stop and try to judge the game based off of that, you're gonna have a bad time. For me, Diablo 4's legendaries added interesting and unique interactions with their skills and abilities, as well as passives. The skill tree, while only allowing us to spend 25 of the normally allotted 50 points, got us to a very interesting part in the tree. We had builders, we had spenders, we had elite abilities, we had so much, and that's only in the first 25 levels. Most ARPGs require you to hit max level before many of the deep immersive systems actually even get introduced to the player. So like, chill bro, we're only level 25. We can judge the game when it actually comes out and we're playing all of those endgame systems. There you have it, my unorganized, disheveled, lack of sleep kind of anti-review of the early access weekend. I had a lot of fun playing. We got to play with some buddies, we stayed up late every single night, fought the world boss. It was a really great experience for me personally. I understand there's a lot to be concerned about the game, but I don't think judging it based off of an early access is the right idea. Of course, this is going to get even crazier next weekend because everyone has access to the open beta weekend. You don't even need to go down to the store and pick up a double down to get in. You can just literally download it right now. So yeah, I look forward to seeing all of everyone's takes this weekend. It should be interesting to say the least. As always, my name is Spun. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.